So, David, when is the Alliance supposed to be hitting the UK?
Well, from my time as a WizKids insider, you know what? Let me just call them up right now, and I'll get an answer for you.
We are Borg. We're interrupting your communications. You are leaving a message out of the tone, or you will be manipulated.
Well, Borg. Looks like that answer is later. They might be dealing with something there. But that tells us that it is in fact time to talk about the Borg faction. They are a threat in the Star Trek universe. We've seen them, numerous times throughout the Next Generation, Voyager, for better or worse, in Enterprise, and Star Trek Picard. But in Star Trek Attack Wing, what do they bring to the table? And,
I have to say they bring the biggest model there is.
Ooh. Yeah, that oversized cube is a nice piece.
In a literal sense, I guess, that's what they bring to the table. And a lot of custom paint jobs.
Ooh, yeah. I do have to say, so fun story from being at Origins 2017. While we're playing our games and such, people are kind of looking around, going, "Oh, Star Trek, that's nice." Somebody brought a Borg cube, and then wasn't using it, so we set it up on a side table, and then people walking the hall are going, "Ooh, there's Borg cube for this game? That's really cool."
Was it tricked out with lights?
It was, but in the lighting of a convention center, you couldn't really see them.
Okay. And you get one of those umbrellas over it.
You could,
that would draw people in.
It was a cool moment where it's like, oh, hey. So I do have to say, the Borg in Attack Wing, they're scary. Before Faction Pack came out, they still were legitimately scary. They are one of the only factions that brings 6 attack dice to the table consistently. And they have cheap enough captains, I'm talking tactical drones, to give you quality, and fairly consistent quality, on those ships.
Yeah, definitely. They bring some of the toughest tanks to the game, and they bring some of the most, I'd say, the highest rate of extremely not overpriced, but expensive upgrades. I would say most Borg upgrades aren't overpriced; they're just expensive. You get what you pay for with the Borg. Ugh.
You do. The downside is that with the current pricing structure, you can't always afford that in tournament play. For instance, Cutting Beam is virtually impossible to run because you can't put a Borg tractor beam and a cutting beam on most Borg ships. And I guess that's some of what goes into truly the identity of the faction. Sometimes the Borg don't actually need their upgrades. Sometimes a ship is enough, and the more ships you can run lightly upgraded really do define the Borg. They are not a swarm faction, but in a way they are a naked faction?
A stock faction. Come as you are.
Yeah, there we go.
The only thing, though, you'll want to put on your Borg, though, consistently, is some way to get battle station. Because that hurts them. And that's probably the number one reason to fly those assimilated vessels.
Yeah, assimilated Voyager, yes.
Oh, yes. Because actually a lot of the assimilated vessels lack battle stations, don't they?
Right,
They also bring to the game a very unique action, which I think in theory was supposed to be good, but in practice wasn't. We should probably talk about the elephant in the room, which is the regenerate action.
Yeah.
Which I think most of the times just sits on people's action bar.
Gosh.
It was...
I want to think in the... Gosh, it's been, about 7 years that the Borg have existed in Attack Wing. I've played a lot of games of Attack Wing in that time. I've run the Borg a lot of times. I want to think that I've used regenerate as an action less than 10 times.
I would not be surprised. I've been playing for 2 years. I've used regenerate probably... Okay, I've used pre-Borg Faction Pack regenerate maybe twice. So that's about right. You've played for 7 years, used it 10 times. I've played for 2 years, maybe used it twice. I'm saying 2 games, because there have probably been games where I used it more than once, but like it was only in that one game.
Sure.
Now, the Borg Faction Pack, believe it or not, actually fixed the regenerate action. And I think one of the reasons why I've used the regenerate action was because I was using it with the avatar of Tomed, which gives it to you as a free action. When you cloak, I think it is.
Yeah, you still suffer the penalty of not being able to attack.
Yeah, see, that was the... I think it would have been a much better if it was more like a roll less attack dice, or maybe roll repair a shield and a hull, and you lose your attack. That may have even been a little more worth it.
I would have gone
at least
for
the assimilated vessels when you can't get them in arc, you know? Because it's good to save for when they're out of range.
Yeah.
But on a one-on-one battle, yeah. That's pretty much the only time I use it, is if I get out of range of the enemy, or that's when I may as well regenerate.
Exactly. Now, in a campaign setting, I would consider Borg regenerating a lot more viable, because you want to stay alive a whole lot more. And when I play missions, and I have every intention on playing missions a whole lot more coming up, that will become something I'm at least looking at when I'm doing the Borg side of missions. But again, typically the best condition you can inflict on your opponent is dead. I've said that before, but it still bears repeating. The best condition you can afflict on your opponent is death, because they can't hurt you if they're dead.
Well, I think Mirror Tasha Yar agrees with you there. Although she doesn't care if she's dead.
Okay, the Grissom, I stab at the Tasha. Yeah, okay, fine. I hear you.
The Grissom is not all that good. As much as I am an absolute Oberth lover, I don't think I run the Grissom almost ever, because I'm like... nah.
Still, there's a build there. So, circling it back to Borg, because the Borg kind of did feel like cheat codes when they first came out. I mean, being able to shoot range 3 at 360 and then move like a rook, up, down, left, right at will. There was a reason the Borg got changed to what we see today. But the identity of the Borg faction, what they bring to the game, is basically 360 firing arcs on just about every worthwhile ship. I kind of say basically because you do have a few, like Assimilated Voyager, maybe the Assimilated Burrell, but for the most part...
The Assimilated Burrell was really popular. I feel like it was popular. Again, I have a distorted view on the early days of Attack Wing, because it was mainly through videos.
Yeah.
And the Assimilated Burrell was the favorite ship of the Wandering Inn, I think, along with the Excelsior.
Yeah.
That Burrell appeared all over the place. They loved that Burrell. I think they had swarms of those Burrells in one episode. I think it was like up to 3 Assimilated Burrells attacking the party, and I was like, man, that's a good ship. But when it comes down, I do like those. I feel like there's a place for Assimilation Target Prime, the new one, but
I want to believe.
Found it yet. I feel like it would be great for a build video. Like one of those videos where someone goes into detail about a certain build.
a build
feel like we
academy,
need-
a battle stations. Like there's
Yeah, like a battle station. The old battle stations. A battle stations or build academy for simulation target prime, because no faction penalty and a heck of a lot of slots, and one of every slot.
I think what's holding that back is the dial and the arcs. But
Yes, it does have a rear arc, mind you.
and
which is
that
good.
helps. That absolutely helps. But yeah, so
Yeah.
the question exists: how do you build Borg well, and how do you play them well? Well, those are two separate questions. So
And it depends also on what. Do you want to go for a rook ship, or do you want to go for a flighty ship? You know, do you want to
Yeah.
go for one of those cubes or spheres, or do you want to fly something like the Soong or Voyager? Or actually, those have weird dials. You might have to pick something else too. Like there's the smaller assimilated vessels, like the Burrell, or I guess you could say, was it a
the
Galar?
Dederics,
Yeah,
the
assimilated
Galar,
Galar.
yeah, the
Did they have an
Dederics.
assimilated Jem'Hadar? No. No, I guess that wouldn't make much sense because the Borg were so far away from the Jem'Hadar.
They were
It's a
neighbors.
different quadrant.
They were galactic neighbors.
I guess so, but
They didn't really
when
go
you
that
live in a
way.
cube, there isn't really that much in the way of that isn't a neighbor.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. It depends on what you want to do. So here's some build ideas. Oversized Borg cube with sphere port. Run that. Run a sphere. Put a whole bunch of stuff on that sphere. Happy days. I mean, yes, you need a captain. You need a fairly simple captain. A tactical drone that gives
Tactical
you...
drone is, I think, the go-to, right?
Yeah, either the one that gives you target lock or battle stations. Either one of those. Janeway certainly works. Locutus is good options.
Janeway also. Sorry.
But yeah, you've got and Borg Queens. You've got a myriad of Borg Queen options there.
Yeah, we've also got. I think Janeway works good with Sphere 634 because Janeway I think involves stealing copying an enemy token, and Sphere 634 involves stealing an enemy token. So it's a double haha. It's like, oh, you took a battle station. No, my friend. I took the battle station's token.
No,
thank you.
It's first I'll copy that and then I'll steal it.
Yeah. Well, it's I'll copy it and then because I don't think the sphere copies it. It just removes it. Yeah. So Janeway copies and then the sphere deletes essentially.
Yeah.
There's also, of course, Voyager running ocular implants.
Oh yeah.
I guess you'll notice that a lot of our builds here consist of mainly 2 cards, and that again just falls back to the downside that everything is too expensive.
It is.
I do have some hilarious Borg builds, which is because you're going to learn this sooner or later watching my channel. I am a bit of an unorthodox player, and I like gimmicky builds, whether they're good or not. And I usually try, and honestly, even if it's a bad build, throwing a big enough gimmick in someone's face confuses them enough that you can actually sometimes win.
It does
So
happen.
one of my favorite gimmicks with the Borg is the card A Blade of Hull Armor. And
card.
all that really does is add an artificial 4 hull to your ship. So whenever your hull starts taking damage, it gets put on top of the A Blade of Hull Armor card until, where is it? I'm just looking for my copy here. Until you get 4 of them. So the trick there is that's a Borg slot. Now it's very hard to get Borg slots. However, there are a few ways to get Borg slots. You can run, what is it? 7 of 9 from the Borg pack to get a Borg slot.
Yep.
That is -1 SP. Then you run, what is it? Integrated Borg technology, which is my favorite Borg upgrade after Borg A Blade of Hull Armor, by the way, because it's a 1 point that gives your ship a Borg slot, and you can put it on any ship. So if you are flying, okay, we're going to break our rules here. This is technically how to build for any faction here. If you are flying a glass cannon, even just a Burrell for your Burrell swarms, you filthy, filthy Burrell Swarm players. We love you. We love you.
No, we don't.
We
Stop
just don't
lying
like your,
to the people.
We just don't like your strategy, that's all. If you throw integrated Borg technology on your Burrell for 1 point, you can then throw for, I know it's going to be hefty, but you throw on a Borg ablative hull armor for 11 points. That's with the what's it called? The faction penalty there.
Yes.
You have now boosted your ship's hull by 4. Which is pretty cool.
Or
now,
the argument I'll make, or you could run another Brel.
Okay, yes, you could. See, that's the problem with Burrell Swarm players.
Exactly. So you're telling me on one
Okay, but that's
hand,
only 12 points. Burrell costs 13 points. This is for if you have a Burrell Swarm, and you have 12 points left over.
Okay.
Which gets run a D7.
Exactly.
But the thing though is, there are, if I can remember correctly, in addition to integrated Borg technology, there is B'Elanna Torres, which gives you another Borg slot. Then there is a Borg Queen, which can give you a Borg slot. And then, depending on what ship you choose, you will have another Borg slot. Meaning you can theoretically run up to 4 copies of Borg ablative hull armor. Now, there are ways to get a little bit more. I remember doing something, I think I managed to get maybe 5 on one ship.
Yeah, there's at least one
hilarious.
ship that has 2 native Borg slots.
I actually have, I think, a video of it. If you look on my channel for... plugging myself here. But if you look for the video, which was Flotilla Battle, something like Flotilla Battle, it would be under the Battle Reports thing. That, I think I had a Voyager, which had the most ludicrously high durability of 30 durability, and it was thanks mostly to many, many copies of Borg ablative hull armor. And I think it was like an 80 to 90 point starship. It was hilarious. But basically, you don't actually have to do all that. You can just throw 1 copy of Borg ablative hull armor to boost any ship's durability enough to survive another round, you know?
Yeah. Well, and
there's
ablative hull armor has one other benefit. It doesn't take crits.
You're right, yes. It absorbs those.
Well, it turns the crits into normal hits. But that means that hull damage that's coming in is not causing you to suffer effects. Which means your captain isn't losing their ability, you're not losing talents, you're not suffering a warp core breach, you're not taking double damage, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, there's also a couple other, if you aren't into just raw brawn, there's some very interesting and intriguing Borg upgrades, and I want to highlight 3 of them right now. There's, first of all, the most popular one, I would say, at the moment, which is so good that it got banned. Well, it got on the restriction list. Borg multi-adaptive shields. That's a 5-point upgrade. I know that sounds steep for all you builders out there, but it gives you the Sutherland ability until your shields drop. You get to cancel a hit every turn. Which, again, is great for fighting against Burrell Swarms, because their power isn't in a single alpha strike, it's in many tiny cuts. And this says, you know those cuts? They're actually toothpicks now. The other one is... Ooh, what is it? I think it's called Borg Shield Matrix, and it's really weird because it gives your ship a lot of cool defensive abilities. Like, you can even, I think, roll dice to avoid negative card effects. It came with the octahedron.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
the thing
that
is,
Borg
though,
Shield
it
Matrix.
charges up as you get shot. The more you get shot, the stronger it gets. And that is not the only Borg card that charges up as it gets shot. I think it's a tech upgrade, actually. No, I can't find it right now. But it basically, you can increase your dice by up to 3, so it's hilarious. You get the Borg, which normally don't roll any green dice. Suddenly rolling 3 green dice. And you can't target their cards. But it needs to charge up every time you get shot. It gets charged. But that's not the only other charging upgrade. They have, I think you're familiar with the other charging upgrade they use, right?
Oh, yeah, it's... Okay, I'm blanking on the name, but it's the one where you take an action, put a token on, and then you're rolling bonus attack dice for every token you have.
Why can't I find that? Technological distinctiveness.
Yeah,
that's the one
that's
where you
the
get
name.
extra attack dice. It's fun to stick that on a card and just have it hang in the back and then slowly gain power. But I just realized, out of all the stuff we've talked about here, we're already talking on how to build, but we forgot to mention drone tokens! Our new players may not know what drone tokens are.
True. Yeah, drone tokens come as essentially a drone, a Borg captain gets drone tokens that represent their captain's skill. For most of them. Some captains actually have a static captain's skill, but they still come with drone tokens, in the same way that Ferengi captains get some gold press latinum to start the game. But Borg captains have drone tokens to use as currency for different things, different effects in the game. And there are various effects that say spend a drone token to do X.
Some of them are really great, and some of them are really bad. I would say the bad ones involve the any of the ones that come with the song, because those cards, they just work on any other ship, but as soon as you put it on a Borg ship, it's like, no, it costs an action and a drone token. But otherwise, most of the drone token cards, they actually do something relevant. Some of them are okay, but some of them are like really, really nice. And there's even a couple weapons that require drone tokens. So although you might be able to get another captain on there, you'll really want to have some way to get drone tokens on that ship or spend drone tokens from another ship. And I'm thinking of the Voyager weapon, right?
Is that by the molecular torpedo?
Yeah, it
is. It's the biomolecular torpedo. You have to. It takes up. Well, yeah, you spend 2 drone tokens on the captain. If it hits, you put 2 time tokens on the captain and each crew equipped to the defending ship.
There is, I think, one way to get drone tokens on a non-drone captain, or I think technically true too. There's the card pack dodecahedron. I think doesn't have a caveat that says you have to have drone tokens on your captain to increase it. So I think you can give drone tokens to any captain with that. But there's also Borg Alliance, which is a Romulan upgrade, which only be applied to a non-Borg captain on a non-Borg ship. And it gives you, I think, 5 drone tokens.
Yeah.
And it's from a book that William Shatner wrote.
Still makes me sad that that's our one non-alpha canon ship. So... yeah, I mean, we're just kind of going through other ways you can play and build Borg well. So I don't do my job if I don't mention
know what to do with
Scout 608. And
608.
Scout 608 was definitely a bigger, more important part of the meta years ago. But it is...
oh, this is the winner.
It is still something, and Joseph Van de Yacht is... the master of this ship, but it's a ship with the ability, after you move, you may discard one of your upgrades to perform an additional green or white maneuver, and when you pilot this well, you are, to borrow from another fandom, you are a leaf on the wind. Watch me fly, because you get a bit of that you don't know where I'm gonna be back. And yeah, you can only do it once per round. But still, with the amount of upgrades we have in this game that let you stack on cheap and discounted abilities, you can put a lot of cards to discard on the 608.
Downside is it's I'm just looking at it now. It's slot bar. It's like, 'cause I thought when you said that discount, I thought Calvin Hudson loaded up with a bunch of followers of Khan, you're good. It only has one of each slot. Good news is it's one of each slot, and I do like one of each slot. But I mean, it's a little harder to pull that whole
Yeah, it typically starts...
I don't think it's impossible.
No, it typically starts with running Ibex Dynasty for 2 extra weapons, run Sakona for an extra weapon slot and discounting all your weapons, and now you've got dirt cheap weapons. And you can go from there. I'm not going to unlock all the secrets for you, but we leave the rest of this problem up to the viewer.
I wondered how long it was going to be until I was in a video where you recommended Sakona. Sakona. A little bit of a bane. I'll have to talk more about that when we do the independent faction.
Yes.
Just Sakona.
Okay,
but yeah, 608. So funny story. I got shipped that by mistake.
Whoops.
A company I had ordered a ship from sent it to me by mistake. I was never going to get this ship. In fact, I considered not opening it and like trying to sell it online. And I looked around and I think I asked in the group, and I'm like, is this good for anything? And then I think I watched one of your videos. And it was all like, yeah, this thing won in a tournament. No, I think it was, I was watching like the best ships, and you put this on like, it was an older video, but it was like, I think your top 10 best ships.
Yeah.
And I think this one was on it, and I was all like, wait, don't I own that? And then like I open it, and I'm all like, oh, okay, I see this.
So like to run 608 effectively, you're looking at things like magnetometric guided charge, which boosts your range up to 3. That really lets you dance.
Oh, really? Yeah, I heard of that one, and I have it. I've never used it.
So it's only a range 3 attack, but the opponent doesn't really need defense dice.
Oh, that's fun.
And you get a battle station to crit conversion.
Ah, found it.
Now, the problem is to disable, I wish we had a time token version of it. I feel like that was a miss in the faction pack.
I'm pretty sure there's a combo out there which can fix that.
I know.
Actually, there's... If you do one of those, like, I think it's like O'Brien takes the disable from the weapon, and then what's her face from the animated pack, Chapel, replaces it with the time token. I think you can pull it off.
Yeah, there's just other ways. I would rather spend my points doing other things.
There's just so many ways out. How do you build those assimilated vessels? How about we go with that?
Ooh.
The cheaper assimilated vessels, not the things like Voyager. But how do you build those cheaper ones? Because I don't know what to do with an assimilated Galler. What do I do with an assimilated Galler?
Ooh,
I know what to do with the Burrell. I know what to do with the Glacier.
So
what do I do with the Galler?
An assimilated Galler, I think that's a place we start looking at running a secondary weapon on them. Don't ask me what assimilated weapon, but no, secondary weapon, but some kind of a
Magnometric guided charge.
Maybe,
let's say that.
Maybe, but I think that still limits our attack dice too much. Now the 180 arc is nice, but
all right. Well, how about forward weapons array? That lets you attack 3 ships.
Perhaps we could go with
or
that.
Or Borg Missile. Actually, Borg Missile got nerfed, right?
Borg Missile only adds 1 Ox power token per attack. It doesn't add
forward weapons array lets you attack with, I think, 3 dice against 3 ships, or... No, I think it's 4 dice against... Yeah. 3 dice against 3 ships, 4 dice against 2 ships, or 6 dice against 1 ship. And then we've also got... Ooh, there's advanced proton beam.
Yeah. Or, we could just go with some straight-up torpedoes or something.
Yeah, they do have photon torpedoes.
Because those are a thing now, and they don't make me want to use them for kindling anymore. That's an old State of the Federation reference, but one of my most...
Mind you, though, I would say the Borg photon torpedoes aren't that good. The ones that came with the song?
No.
They're the ones that simply only give you an act... Oh, wait, no! They actually have a power. I forgot about this. Okay, so let's just talk about this quickly. Photon torpedoes, 5, range 1 to 3, blah, 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 target like disable.
Yeah.
If the target is damaged by this attack, destroy an additional active shield on that ship if possible. So it's a little bit of a quantum torpedo.
Okay.
But the downside is it's one of the ones that gives you a plus if you're flying. No, it's if it's from any Borg ship, you get a +1. What? This is actually good. What?
I'd say it's actually okay.
Well, okay, yeah, it's okay. I'm saying it's good for photon torpedoes from that era.
Yes, from that
It
era.
comes with
sure.
a useful power, and normally when it says add +1, it would be no. I expected this to read if fired from a Type 8 Borg ship, add +1, and that'd be it. But no, you get to keep the power, you get to keep the +1,
Okay.
and it works on any Borg ship,
Okay.
not just the Soong. I mean, it's still a lot. It's basically a quantum torpedo that only affects shields.
Yeah.
It's 6 SP, so it is expensive. I'm just saying, there's worse photon torpedoes from this era. I shouldn't get that excited. I just recently did a video on what I considered the worst photon torpedo upgrade.
Yeah.
So I'm still in a little bit of a get excited about terrible photon torpedo.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so we've got. So you want a secondary weapon on your Galar?
Yeah.
Would you want one of those nice, juicy defensive Borg upgrades like the shield adaptation?
No, I'm going to try to rely on outflying my opponent because what I want to set up this kind of support ship to do is be a ganking ship, a force discard ship. I want to look at something like second of 5 or Croesus, maybe stretch it to Borg assimilation tubules. That's where I want to go.
Cheaper version. They do have a cheap version that came out with the Borg pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 3-point version. The downside is it's a discard, and it only affects crew, but you do get to keep it, which is nice, and I don't think you have to disable it.
Yeah.
I think those are actually going to be more popular now that cards like Worf and Ezri and Guldukat's daughter are in the game. That's going to be a thing. Stealing cards, discarding cards, that's going to be a...
Well,
that's going to have to come back.
Philosophically, ganking should have always been a part of the game. And people who have been successful have run ganking abilities. And those who have not have shied away from disruption. And I think I try to say this as nicely as I can, but it's if you go into a game, anything outside of a friendly game, purely for fun, and you don't have a plan to mess up your opponent in some way other than rolling attack dice at them, you're probably going to lose. Second of 5 is actually the gold standard of ganking.
So we should move on to how to beat the faction before we finish this video. So, addressing the most obvious one that everyone goes to immediately, just to get it out of the way. Yes, protected stasis field. If you want to kill Borg, protected stasis field. Yeah, we get it. We know. What does it do? It turns off enemy shields, makes it so they can't attack. Ta-da! Real creative. What are the other ways to defeat the Borg?
Outfly them, so have bonus maneuver stuff that lets you keep them at range 3. Whether that be maneuver control in the form of things like lure, faked messages, or extra maneuvering for your own ships. But figure that out.
Talon.
The Talon, Maxwell Forest, Full of Stern, something like that.
There was a real good one. There was a good one with the Maquis that they had. It was like, no, it lets you move after attacking.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving after the attacking, there's the, it's a Valdor class. It came with the Romulan faction pack.
Yeah.
It has an ability which lets you move after you attack.
Yep. Things
Any
like
of
that
those
are good.
movement cards.
Yeah, because if
you also want to fight 360 with 360 in case you can't have them in arc. That's a good idea.
Sure.
I think.
So something like Voyager.
They're a firing weapon. Bring those.
Yep. Arcs. Use your arcs. So if you can get 180, great. A 90 with a 90 rear, okay. Stuff like that. But that's how you do that. And also ganking. Borg have very few upgrades, but what upgrades they have brought to the table are very vital to them. So if you see a Borg player relying on, say, technological distinctiveness to bump up their attack dice, if you can second of 5 that away from them, you just pulled away 2-3 attack dice from them every single time they're attacking.
Or if you're fighting me, find some way to make me discard my blade of hull armor. Because then that's like blowing up half my ship.
Sure. I mean, same thing. If I second of 5 one of your blade of hull armors, I've gotten rid of 4 of your durability.
Which one is second of 5 from, actually?
The Scout 608.
Oh, okay, I probably own him.
I'm almost certain.
I haven't read him. 1. I like 1. He gives any ship the Equinox power, which is potentially OP if you throw him on the right vessel. 3 of 9.
Yeah.
Magnetism.
It's from the Scout Cube 608.
Yeah, I'll find him eventually.
No, that is a range 1 to 2.
Second of 5, found him. Oh, he's ugly. I see why I never played him. Target a ship at range 1 to 2, discard this card, and 1 upgrade of your choice on the target ship. Oh, wow, yeah. I see why you like him. Used against cloaked ship.
Sure. But yeah, stuff like that. That's honestly the way you beat Borg is, you shoot them. You shoot them earlier because they don't have the best captain skills, so you beat them with high captain skill. You beat them with quality because they don't have attack dice. And you beat them by getting rid of their limited upgrades. And you keep them out of range. It's easy to sit here and say, it's really tough to do. Because good...
You can also fly circles around them if you think you can survive their guns.
Oof,
because they can turn at 90 degrees, but to some degree, you can kind of force them into a spinning loop. You can kind of force them into a spinning loop. However, you do want to avoid the dreaded just fly forward and fly backwards, because if they do that how do you defeat the Borg when they fly forwards and backwards, refusing to turn? Because I've faced people who flew the Borg using only forward and backward movement, and they were nasty.
Well, then they become predictable, and you should be able to pin them. Ideally, you get a cloaked mine in range of them, but that's not always going to happen. And the other thing is maneuver control. If they go forward and then you can get them to go forward again, that at least sets you up to engage on your terms, and then they have to go backward and then backward again before they start repeating the cycles. So
I wonder how royally you can screw up a Borg Cube's or Borg Sphere's plan by using some of those movement control ones, which let you choose the dial, like Lure and
not a ton. Because the one thing about Borg is that everything that they do can be undone, maneuver-wise.
Yeah.
Everything can be reversed.
Well, I think we should probably call it here. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good take on what the Borg are, what they bring to the game, how you can build Borg, and hopefully how to beat them. Not going to say it's the best. Not going to say we gave you all the answers, because, well, I don't think we have all the answers. But hopefully we gave you some.
Yeah, so join us next time where we talk about which ones to buy and top 5 cards we dread seeing on the table.
Specific to Borg.
Yeah, specific to Borg. That's going to be interesting.
All right, join us then.
All right, see you around.